Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Ajay Solkhe, presently working as Assistant Professor, University School of Management, Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra, Haryana. This model is all about the technological change and industrial relations. Upon completion of the module, the student should be able to understand the impact of technological changes on employment, to discuss the very objectives that managements seek to achieve with new technologies, and lastly to explain the response of trade unions to new technologies. Technology is an instrument of change and development. Technological change is a continuous process which covers a series of development, mechanization, growth of mass production, and the emergence of automation in that order. According to the World Intellectual Property Organization, an agency of United Nations, technology means systematic knowledge for the manufacturing of products, the application of process, or the rendering of services, whether that knowledge be reflected in an invention, an industrial design, a utility model, or a new plant variety, or in technical information or skills, or in the services and assistance provided by experts for design, installation, operation, or maintenance of an industrial plant, or for the management of an industrial or commercial enterprise or its activities. With regards to levels of technology, there are different levels of technology. This raises a question of choice when it comes to the adoption of new higher technology, a choice that is conditioned by various factors, not the least among them being the social priorities. It is in this context that we have the concept of appropriate technology. It is a relative concept. Technology may be regarded as appropriate if it is capable of achieving the economic goals without affecting the environmental social stability. Change has three dimensions, as suggested by OECD: market change, technological change, organizational change. Market change means the changes in goods and services produced. Technological changes covers the changes in capital and the labor inputs. With regard to organization change, change in the way the inputs are combined. The rapid pace of technological change has had a profound impact on the way people work and live. It has an impact on the design and structure of organizations and organizational processes. As a corollary, it has impacted the human resource development and management policies with implications for industrial relations. Technological change. New advanced technologies offer opportunities and threats. Enterprise strategies introducing advanced new technologies impact the whole range of problems concerning human resources, including those relating to employment, occupational profiles, training, working arrangements, managerial styles and attitudes, and industrial relations. Most advanced technologies have three kinds of impacts on people. Very first of all, replacing routine, repetitive, unskilled, dirty, dangerous, and drudgerous job and de-skilling jobs. Shifting control over work away from workers to management. Technological determinedness, minimizing the scope for sovereign decision making at the enterprise and economy level. Forms of technological change. Technological innovations include advanced communication systems, flexible manufacturing systems, computer assisted design, and computer assisted manufacturing. These modern technologies incorporate powerful and low cost microelectronic devices that have the potential to increase productivity in offices and factories. Haber, Furman, and Hudson have identified certain changes which affect jobs and influence skills. They are scientific management or time and motion studies, location of plants, shifts in product demand, changes in machinery, and automation. In its more complete form, rationalization implies a basic change in the structure and control of industrialized activity. In its application, it is a process which brings together the advantages of planned production, pooling of research, scientific and technical know-how, centralized regulation of finance, modernization of productive processes, and sales and optimum utilization of manpower. Attitude to technology. The attitude of trade unions towards technology has differed from organization to organization and can be classified under four categories, that is, prevent change, slow down change, cooperate in change, expedite change. In union policies and industrial management, Summers Leacher identified three common union responses to technological changes: obstruction, competition, control. Unions do not oppose technological changes per se, they seek to serve their members. But if the changes bring benefits, for example, higher productivity accompanied by higher pay, unions can help to promote the changes. However, if the new technologies are applied in ways that lead to reduced employment or poorer working conditions, then opposition should be expected. Impact of technological change. The interrelationship between technology, technological change and industrial relations time and again has been the focus of attention of groups in society. Technology has an impact on labor management issues such as manpower, job security and training redundancy. Technological change raises sensitive industrial relation issues, especially where it involves work intensification, rationalization or reductions in employment. Industrial relation issues, especially relating to employment levels and work organization, were seen as important in deciding upon new plant, machinery or equipment. Technological changes affect the work environment and alters the relationship between employers and employees. It affects labor in two ways: economic and social and psychological factors. With regard to economic factors, prominent are redundancy, occupational adjustment, allocation of gains, transfer and retraining problems. With respect to social and psychological factors, resistance to change, job satisfaction, worker and union relation are the prominent concerns. Technology may be influential in several characteristic ways. Technology influences the length of the job cycle, the size of the work group, the nature of the relationships, the frequency with which jobs are changed, the degree and nature of skills employed, the physical environment and physical effort in work, and the occupational structure. Technology exerts a heavy influence on the organization of both people and work. It also influences the quality of life on the job and the quality of life off the job. Impact of technological advances on people. Here we are going to examine what are the various technological advancements and what are the kind of impact they are putting on the people. The consequences of increased international competition and the rapid pace of technological change on organizations and employees are manifold. They favor organizations that are fast and flexible as well as lean and adaptive. However, technological advances or changes are having the following impacts on people: employment issues, changes in occupational profiles, education and training, new working arrangements and managerial attitudes, industrial relations, management strategy or approach, trade union response. With respect to the employment issues, government in most countries are involved in attempting to stimulate technological developments within their own national territories, either directly or indirectly. The key question here is whether or not new technology creates or destroys the jobs. It creates new jobs that are different from the old jobs, either in terms of the skills required or in their sectoral or geographical location. New technologies are usually less labor intensive and result in workforce redundancies. This is generally the case in short term projects. In the longer term, new technologies can have a positive effect if they vastly improve the demand for the products or services. The historical experience seems to show that in aggregate, new technologies create more jobs than they destroy, at least over the long term. However, how quickly and how well the people who lose their jobs will be compensated remains an issue. David Ricardo suggested that the introduction of labor saving machinery might be injurious to workers, causing unemployment when real wages could not be forced downwards or local machine production expanded sufficiently. He pointed out that the lags and the inflexibilities in the employment compensation mechanism resulting directly from supply side consideration. Marx recognized the social transformation brought about by a technological revolution. Critics further argue that much of the growth associated with new technologies may well be jobless growth. This is so because the demand for goods does not itself imply a demand for labor. Economies of large scale operations reduce the prices of products, services, and increase volumes. As for example, in the telecom services sector, the two successive changes in telecom technology from manual to mechanical and from digital to cellular may have reduced employment intensity by a factor of 500 or so and reduced the jobs in group C and D, mainly unskilled and semi-skilled, in the Department of Telecom. And the companies like Indian Telephone Industries, but the rapid expansion of telephone booths in every nook and corner of the country has created 1 million jobs. With regard to the changes in occupational profiles, it has been observed that the technology work in two ways: de-skilling in certain occupations and re-skilling in others. Some jobs become obsolete or redundant, and others, which are relatively scarce, have a high demand and command a premium. If technologically illiterate workers are able to maintain their jobs, they lose in terms of real wages. The technologically qualified people are not only able to maintain their jobs but also improve their earnings. Division of job content and methods of production are undergoing a change involving less physical but more mental effort. The institution of new and improved technology affects the size and composition of the workforce and the network of social relations among employees. Information technology has rendered many middle-level management jobs created originally for collecting and processing information and data redundant in most cases. As a result, the levels of hierarchy in organizations are getting reduced from about 12 to 15 to about 3 to 5. Technology is also facilitating new forms of international division of labor in the form of outsourcing and offshoring of jobs. This is resulting in the shifting of routine, repetitive, and less value adding jobs. Regarding education and training, advanced technology requires not only more literacy but also numeracy, because workers become responsible for quality control using statistical quality control methods. To become flexible and adaptive, they need to learn to perform multiple tasks and move beyond the narrow areas of work and specialization. In the telecom industry, after the liberalization in the 90s, the workers' union demanded that the management guarantee employability through adequate provision of training in return for their support for the successful introduction of new technologies, new working arrangements, and managerial attitudes. New technologies have necessitated work round the clock and throughout the year, blurring the very distinction in some cases between work and home. They have the effect of breaking the old teams and forming new teams with resultant consequences for the social system in the organization. Multitasking takes away the built-in ideal time, with complaints about people being made to work as robots. There are two types of work rule changes that result from the introduction of new technology: those that leave the existing organization of work intact while making it more efficient, and second category is those that change the system itself. The former category of changes, which seek to combine the duties and eliminate superfluous jobs, would be conducive to higher productivity and greater efficiency, and as such should not be resisted. On account of industrial relations, new and advanced technologies have implications for trade unions and labor management relations. The union that represented manual workers was different from that which represented mechanical workers. Inter-union rivalry created hurdles because a change was perceived as a personal loss for one union and a gain for the other. When work groups are dismantled and new groups are formed, the changes in the social system affect the dynamics of trade unionism and industrial relation system in the company. New and advanced technologies bring a more knowledgeable and skilled workforce into the organization. Such workers may prefer direct participation to indirect representative participation, when workers seek and gain higher involvement and autonomy, it may raise questions about the issues open to negotiation and collective bargaining. Managements usually first take decisions on technology and they seek the cooperation of the employees and their unions later. With regard to the impact of technology on industrial relation, one major factor is management strategy and approach. The strategic options available to managements when implementing new technology could be classified into either of the following two. The market situation influences the firm's human resource strategy. For instance, if a company operates within a stable product market which is characterized by mass production, and if labor is abundantly available and weakly organized, then a strategy of descaling and downgrading may be unproblematic. On the other hand, in situations where products change rapidly, where small batches are the norm and where the labor market is tight, long-term employment and flexible deployment are the major appropriate strategies. In situations where societies have become more democratic and the workforce more educated, managerial ideology has focused on new, more humane and democratic forms of work organization and worker participation involvement. Management usually seeks to attain one or several of the following objectives through technological changes: reduction in production cost, reduction in labor input in work processes, greater efficiency of operations through better management control over production, higher quality of products and services, adapting production to the changing demands of customers, getting a comparative advantage. When management seek to introduce technological changes mainly to cut labor cost, trade unions naturally resist. Instead of cutting costs, if the focus is on value addition, labor does not automatically become redundant. Management must communicate clearly the objective of the proposed changes, its likely impact on jobs and people, and the measures that it proposes to take to minimize the adverse effects, if any, on employees. Wherever possible, genuine commitment concerning safeguards against loss of jobs and loss of income would be very helpful. Along with this, initial communication, information sharing, managements must also invite employees and their unions to come with alternative proposals, suggestions concerning the subject. Concerning the impact of trade union response, there are contrasting views which exist about the need for new technologies in a labor surplus economy. One view is that without state-of-art technologies, it is quite impossible to compel and survive in a globalizing economy. The reasons why trade unions resist technological changes are discussed. Very first of all, the fear of unemployment redundancy and the problems of retraining workers hardest hit by modernization. Major benefits of improved technology. Friends, I hope you have understood the contents well. You can also refer to other quadrants of this module for testing your knowledge and having some more input on theme of the module. Happy learning.